The movie begins with the wedding of Mitch and Julianne in a church. After the ceremony, Mitch steps forward to give a speech. He thanks Kate, the bride's mother, and her husband Charlie for arranging such a beautiful celebration. He then turns to his new wife, telling her she will be the best partner he could ever hope for. Mitch also mentions that his father was too busy to attend the wedding. When the ceremony ends, Mitch and Julianne leave the church and get into their car. Julianne says goodbye to her mother, promising they will return in 2 weeks to celebrate her birthday. Then the couple drives off to begin their honeymoon. Their destination is a secluded island known only to Mitch and his father, discovered years earlier during a fishing trip. Since then, it has become Mitch's favorite place. When they arrive, Julianne is amazed. The cabin sits on a small, completely isolated island with nothing but the sea surrounding it. There are no houses, no people, and barely any signal. Mitch tells her there's almost no phone reception, no internet, and no TV, but assures her that's a good thing, so they can spend peaceful time together. Inside, she notices strange symbols drawn on the walls. When she asks Mitch about them, he says they're probably markings left by a fisherman who passed through long ago. Later, Julianne organizes their things and settles in before going to sleep after a long day. The next morning, Julianne wakes up and sees Mitch placing a key into a small box. He locks it and hangs the box's key around his neck. Confused, Julianne watches him leave to repair the cabin roof. She spends her time cleaning, then draws a small symbol on the wall herself to leave a mark that they were there. That evening, they sit by the sea. Julianne asks Mitch to tell her a story, and he begins talking about what makes a happy family, saying every happy family should eventually have children. Julianne gently tells him it's not the right time. She's young, still studying, and wants to wait until she finishes her education. Mitch agrees, and they head to bed. The next morning, Julianne wakes up early and walks down to the shore. She dips her feet in the water but pulls back in fear, then returns to the cabin. She wakes Mitch before going outside with her art supplies to draw. After a while, Mitch joins her and steps into the water, inviting her too. She hesitates, saying it's too cold and she'll join later, but he lifts her and carries her in by force. He places her on a floating raft and leaves briefly to smoke and get something from the cabin. While he's gone, the raft suddenly starts deflating and Julianne sinks into the water. Terrified, she screams for help, and Mitch rushes back to save her. Once she calms down, she tells him she suffers from thalassophobia, a deep fear of the sea, and that she's terrified of swimming. Mitch scolds her for not telling him sooner. She explains she wanted to overcome her fear with him and tried to be brave. They end the day quietly and go to sleep. The following day, they go fishing together. While talking, Julianne mentions that she found a strange box in the cabin. Mitch explains it's only for safety since they're on an isolated island, and it contains his car key. He adds that just like he doesn't interfere in every detail of her life, she shouldn't interfere in his private matters. They both need their own space. Hurt by his words, Julianne returns to the cabin and hangs her paintings to change the atmosphere. Mitch follows her, apologizing for his tone, and invites her on a hunting trip. She agrees. They take the boat to the mainland and enter the forest, where Mitch sets traps. Suddenly, Julianne disappears. Panicked, Mitch searches for her until he finds her picking flowers beside a small grave. He pulls her away angrily, saying it's dangerous to wander off alone, and she must stay close so he can protect her. They return to the cabin. Later, Julianne tells Mitch they've already spent 10 days on the island, and she's tired of the place. She misses her mother and wants to go home. Mitch becomes angry, reminding her the vacation isn't over. They agreed to stay 2 weeks. He insists she must stay wherever he is. Furious, Julianne goes inside and tries to open the locked box, but it won't budge. In frustration, she throws it on the floor, breaking a few items. Mitch enters and apologizes, saying he only acts that way because he's afraid of losing her and couldn't live without her. The next morning, Julianne looks for her birth control pills, but they're gone. She confronts Mitch, who pretends he knows nothing. She tells him she wants to leave as soon as possible. Mitch says he doesn't mind leaving, but only if she agrees to have a child so they can start a happy family. Julianne reminds him they agreed to wait and suggests returning to the mainland for more pills. Mitch accuses her of listening to her mother instead of respecting him and warns her not to mention leaving again. This is her final warning. Later, Mitch leaves to hunt in the forest, leaving Julianne alone. She goes to the beach and tries to swim, but her fear overwhelms her. Meanwhile, Mitch returns and prepares the fish he caught. Julianne sits silently by the shore, lost in thought, trying to figure out how she can escape this situation. The next morning, Mitch wakes up and finds Julianne missing. Panicking, he runs outside and sees her sitting in the boat, out in the middle of the sea, trying to fish. Meanwhile, Mitch goes back into the cabin, removes Julianne's drawings from the wall, and puts them inside his box. Suddenly, Julianne walks in, startling him and causing the box to fall. She kneels to help pick up the papers and notices a napkin from a cafe she used to visit when she met her ex-boyfriend. Realizing what it means, she confronts Mitch and tells him that their meeting at the bus station near that cafe wasn't random. He had been watching her from the beginning. Mitch admits everything. He followed her because he liked her, learned everything about her, and planned every step of their relationship. Shocked, Julianne watches him walk out of the cabin. She follows him, trying to stay calm. She tells him their 2 weeks are over and they should go home to rest and get a change of scenery. Instead, Mitch becomes angry and accuses her of wanting to return to her old life of friends and parties. Then, he violently shoves her. Enraged, Julianne grabs a bottle and hits him on the head. He falls but isn't badly injured. She seizes the moment, runs to the boat, and rows to the other side of the island. When she reaches the car, she finds it locked. She runs into the forest and finally gets phone signal, but before she can call her mother, her phone battery dies. Frustrated, she throws it against a tree and continues walking until she stops to rest. Mitch, a strong swimmer, has already reached the forest and begins searching for her. He eventually finds her broken phone. As Julianne sits alone, she realizes she has reached the same grave she saw earlier and quickly moves away. Moments later, she hears Mitch calling her name. She hides behind a tree, but he finds her. Pretending to calm down, she apologizes and hugs him, pretending everything is fine. That night, as she sleeps, Mitch secretly drags the boat into the sea and sinks it, destroying her last hope of escape. The next morning, Julianne notices the missing boat. Mitch pretends it must have broken apart, but she knows he did it intentionally. Mitch plays guitar while Julianne sits by the water drawing. Suddenly, she spots a floating buoy in the sea. Quickly, she pulls it toward her before Mitch sees her and hides it. Later, Mitch tells her he's going out for a while and takes the car key. Instead of leaving the island, he visits his father's grave in the forest and then returns home to rest. While he sleeps, Julianne quietly takes the key from around his neck, opens the locked box and finds documents, including the property deed. She realizes Mitch owns the cabin and had planned this place to be their permanent home. Taking the car key and the hidden buoy, she crosses the water and tries to start the car, but it won't turn on. As she panics, Mitch suddenly appears. Terrified, Julianne grabs a shotgun and demands he start the car or she'll shoot. Instead, Mitch breaks the window and drags her out. He forces her back to the cabin and chains her leg with a long metal chain, so she can't escape again. He insists he isn't crazy, he's protecting her. He reminds her how she always wanted to meet his father, then reveals the truth. His father is buried in the forest. The grave she saw belongs to him. Mitch claims his father pushed him to get married and start a family, and that pressure drove him to do everything he has done. He then gathers all Julianne's belongings and throws them into the sea. He burns her art supplies, eliminating anything that connects her to her old life. The next day, Julianne prepares food while still chained. Mitch asks for the matchbox to light his cigarette. Julianne quietly mentions that today is her mother's birthday and she was supposed to be home celebrating. She then asks Mitch if he knew she couldn't swim and was terrified of the ocean. He calmly replies yes, he knew. She finally understands he chose this island specifically because she wouldn't be able to escape. She tells him his entire life is built on lies. Mitch insists the only real thing in his life is his love for her, then walks out, leaving her crying in despair. That night, as rain falls, Julianne approaches Mitch outside. She tells him he doesn't love her, he's sick. Real love doesn't cage someone. It sets them free. Mitch insists no one will ever love her like he does and everything he's doing is for her own good. Julianne walks back inside with an idea. She strikes a match intentionally and calls out, pretending the matchbox caught fire by accident. Mitch becomes frustrated, saying there are no matches left and he'll have to go to town to buy more. He grabs the key and leaves. The moment he's gone, Julianne retrieves the axe Mitch had thrown into the sea earlier. It was still within reach. She uses it to break the chain on her leg. She grabs the old buoy she previously found, repairs it quickly, and uses it to cross the sea to the other side. There, she digs a trap into the ground, covers it with dirt, and rushes back to the cabin. Soon after, Mitch returns with a lighter and the shotgun he planned to use for hunting. When he enters the cabin, he notices Julianne's chair is wet. She must have gone into the sea. He confronts her and slaps her. A violent fight breaks out. In the struggle, he spots the buoy she hid and slashes it with his knife before attacking her again. Julianne crawls backward, leading him toward the hidden trap. Mitch steps into it and his leg gets caught. Screaming in pain, he tries to free himself. Julianne grabs a wooden plank and strikes him over the head, knocking him down. She takes the key from around his neck, runs inside the cabin and grabs the shotgun. But Mitch pulls her back using the remaining length of a chain. She fights desperately, grabs the gun, and fires, hitting him in the shoulder. She unlocks the chain fully, drops the gun beside him, and coldly tells him he can either stay here alone or end his own life. Julianne walks to the sea, forces herself to face her lifelong fear, and swims across to the other side. As she reaches the shore, she hears a distant gunshot. Mitch has taken his own life. Exhausted but free, Julianne keeps walking until she finds the car. She removes her wedding ring, places it on the windshield, and walks away, finally returning to her family and her normal life. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the story. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more videos.